Today, today I'm going to empower many of you, and I'm going to do it by helping you to understand some of the most misunderstood words that ever came out of the mouth of Jesus Christ. Turn the other cheek. It may be one of the most misunderstood things Jesus ever said. People hear those words and imagine Jesus telling Christians to become weak, passive, and easy to abuse. They picture a believer standing still while someone humiliates them, hurts them, and then walks away without resistance. That is not the Jesus we meet in Scripture. Jesus was gentle with wounded people, but he was never timid with corrupt people. He comforted the broken, but he confronted the powerful. He challenged religious leaders in public. He exposed hypocrisy. He called out greed, pride, and spiritual manipulation. He entered the temple courts, overturned tables, and drove out people who were turning worship into exploitation. Jesus did not live to keep everyone comfortable. He spoke truth even when truth made people angry. He stood alone when others backed away. He refused to flatter powerful men, and he did not change his message when threats began to rise around him. Jesus was not weak, he was controlled. And you know what? There's a difference. When Jesus said, "If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also," totally misunderstood. People picture that as, hey, if somebody slaps you across your face, turn to them the other cheek and let them slap you again. And then it's totally okay. They get to walk away, and you get to be a good Christian who just got slapped around. Jesus was not teaching people to enjoy abuse. He was teaching them how to face evil without becoming controlled by it. The passage begins with revenge. Jesus referred to some familiar words: an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. Now, that principle had originally placed limits on punishment. It prevented someone from answering a small injury with extreme retaliation. But people have always wanted more than justice. They want revenge. You embarrass me, so I destroy you. You insult me, so I insult you worse. You hurt me, so I make sure you suffer longer than I did. Jesus stepped directly into that cycle and said, in effect, it stops with you. That is not weakness. That is strength strong enough to break a pattern that has controlled humanity for generations. You see, there's a meaning in the way Jesus describes the strike. I want you to think about this. He specifically mentioned the right cheek. Now, for a right handed person, to strike someone on the right cheek, the blow would most naturally come from the back of the hand. Now, that was not only an attack, that was an insult. A backhanded slap was meant to humiliate someone, to place that person beneath the attacker, and to send the message, you are less than I am. Now, picture what Jesus told the victim to do. Do not collapse. Do not beg. Do not lose control. Do not swing wildly in rage. Turn your face and look the person directly in the eyes. Stand there, still upright, still calm, still possessing yourself. Turning the other cheek was not saying, please hurt me again. It was saying, you did not destroy me. It was a refusal to accept the identity the attacker was trying to impose. The person striking you wanted fear. They want submission. They want to reduce you. But when you turn and face them, you are saying, "You may have struck my face, but you don't own my dignity. You do not control my response. You do not decide who I become." You see, that takes more strength than throwing a punch. Anyone can react in anger. Anyone can become violent when pride is wounded. Anyone can allow rage to take control. Jesus was teaching something much harder. Remain powerful without becoming cruel. Remain truthful without becoming hateful. Remain courageous without surrendering your soul to revenge. We see Jesus practice this during his own arrest and interrogation. An officer struck him across the face. Jesus did not strike him back, but he also did not lower his head and pretend that nothing happened. He challenged the man. "If I said something wrong, testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, then why did you strike me?" Now, that's not a weak response. You see, Jesus made the officer face his own injustice. He did not scream, he did not beg, and he did not become violent. He stood in truth and demanded an answer. That's what turning the other cheek looks like. It's not silence, it's controlled confrontation. It's not surrendering your value. It's refusing to let another person's sin determine your character. Now, Jesus never taught that people must remain trapped in dangerous situations. He himself sometimes withdrew from crowds that endangered him. He told his disciples that when they were persecuted in one town, they should leave for another. Walking away from danger is not cowardice. Setting a boundary is not hatred. Calling the police is not revenge. Reporting abuse is not a failure to forgive. And protecting a child, a spouse, a vulnerable person, or yourself does not violate the teachings of Jesus. Turning the other cheek does not mean repeatedly placing yourself within the reach of someone committed to hurting you. It means that even when you leave, confront, report, testify, or seek justice, you refuse to let hatred take command of your heart. Jesus understood power better than anyone. When soldiers came to arrest him, one of his disciples drew a sword and attacked. Jesus stopped him. He said he could call upon his Father and receive legions of angels. Jesus was not helpless in that garden. He was surrounded, but he was not overpowered. He could have escaped, and he could have called for heavenly force. He could have answered violence with destruction. You think God can't cause destruction? Yeah. But Jesus chose restraint because he was committed to something greater than self-preservation. That's why the cross cannot be understood as weakness. Jesus did not die because he lacked the strength to resist. He gave his life because he possessed the strength to remain faithful when resistance would have been easier. He stood before governors, soldiers, religious authorities, and an angry crowd, without begging any of them for approval. He carried the cross without allowing hatred to enter his heart. He forgave while being tortured. He remained obedient while people mocked him. The world looked at him and saw a defeated man. Well, the world was wrong. Jesus was doing what no violent ruler, warrior, or empire had ever been strong enough to do. He was defeating evil without becoming evil. That's the power behind turning the other cheek. The world says strength means making people fear you. Jesus showed that strength means refusing to be ruled by fear. The world says strength means getting even. Jesus showed that strength means having the ability to retaliate and choosing not to surrender to revenge. The world says the strongest person is the one who hurts his enemy the most. Jesus showed that the strongest person may be the one whose enemy cannot corrupt him. Turning the other cheek does not mean, I am worthless, so you may do whatever you want with me. It means, you have shown me who you are. Now I will show you who I am. I will stand. I will speak the truth. I will protect the innocent. I will confront what is wrong. I may leave your presence and never give you another opportunity to harm me. But I will not let you turn me into a hateful, bitter, uncontrolled version of yourself. Jesus was not soft in the way people often imagine. He was compassionate, but he was unshakable. He was peaceful, but he was dangerous to every system built on lies. He was merciful, but he never confused mercy with cowardice. Jesus was strong enough to face violence without worshiping violence, strong enough to comfort injustice without being consumed by vengeance, strong enough to absorb hatred without returning it. Turning the other cheek was never a command to become weak. It was a command to become so strong that another person's evil could no longer control you. Now you understand. God bless you, my friends. My name is Douglas Vandergraph, and I believe in Jesus Christ. And may God bless every single one of you. Every single one.